Why is the NFT market collapsing? Do people still not realize ape holders can use multiple Slurp juices on a single ape? If you have one Astro ape and 3 Slurp juices, you can create 3 new apes. This is literally just stealing a meme from like 3 days ago. God damn it, Hasan. The left supports massive corporations, war, and the Federal Reserve. In no shot have I ever supported those, Tim, you fucking dumbass. One of us told low trust fools to spend their savings on speculative assets that have lost at least 50% of their value over the past few months. The other told people it was a scam and to steer clear. Pretty clear who was telling the truth here. The only reason people care about Bitcoin is because they know that 10 years ago you could have bought it for a couple cents a coin, and now it's worth 30,000. They're buying it because they want it to go up. Just like it did in the past. They see past returns and they see future results. This is not some sort of complicated genius strategy they've come up with. They say, ooh, Bitcoin has gone up 10,000%. I want it to go up 10,000% again. I'll be a millionaire without doing any work. Most of Bitcoin is in the hands of very few accounts. It's just an oligarchy, bro.
So to keep the scam running as long as they can, the wealthy proponents of Bitcoin say that it's changing the world. They say that Bitcoin is going to replace fiat currencies like the dollar. They say that it's going to undermine cruel dictatorships and greedy banks and help usher in a libertarian utopia of privacy and security.
Brain. Okay. Tim Pool retweeted. Oh god, this is so funny, man. What? And by the way, no one liked the tweet. This is like actually pretty piss poor engagement for Tim. The fuck are you talking about, Tim? Facts don't care about your feelings, Timmy boy. Facts don't care about your feelings. I think crypto as a concept is very interesting, but everyone trying to implement them are fraudsters looking for a quick buck. No, it's not interesting. It's not interesting. No, it's not interesting. Private money is right wing, and it always will be, okay? The concept is right wing. It's trying to take away money from democratic control, okay? It's bad. So you have no idea what you're talking about? Cryptocurrency is about taking control away from governments and banks. Go read the white paper, man. Most of Bitcoin is in the hands of very few accounts. It's just an oligarchy, bro. There's no socially beneficial use for crypto. It has no intrinsic value and is useless as a currency. Private money is an anti-government right-wing project which ironically only has value through an implicit guarantee from the state. The sooner it crumbles, the better. I couldn't agree more. Even though this guy's an Elizabeth Warren fan, he's right about this. And blockchain, there's nothing special about blockchain. Most of crypto is now owned by the same banks and capital owners that own everything. Exactly. The main argument that people have that Bitcoin is going to exist is its implementation as a store of speculation by Wall Street. That's the growth case now, is like, ooh, Bitcoin is going to be added as one of those, yet another speculative asset. You can buy oil, or orange juice, chat, or pork bellies, or oil, or gold, or Bitcoin. It's the same shit. That's their fantasy case, is that the early adopters, the early holders of Bitcoin who got it for a few dollars or a few thousand a coin, wanted to be added to they want it to be one of those things that's just speculative, just like everything else. It holds no actual use. They want to unload it onto Wall Street, onto pension funds, onto people with savings. That's all they're trying to do. Like, that's what they're trying to do. Facts don't care about your feelings. It has actual use and illegal. It has actual use of illegal purchases, yo. Like, but does it though? I mean, it's open. Like, you could get tracked. So you buy something illegally, it could be forensically examined because the blockchain transfers are public. So like, if you know whose wallet it is, then you can monitor all the things they purchase. It doesn't even anonymize. Bitcoin doesn't anonymize. And you can go back and look at everybody's transactions since the beginning of the coin. That's terrible. Many of the Bernie people in my district of Washington are supporting Marie Gluskamp Perez. Our primary is August 2nd. Motherfuckers out there basically just speedrunning. Oh, also support Summer Lee out in Western Pennsylvania, chat. And support Paul Prescott running for state senate in Philadelphia. I think there's a few people up in the Lehigh Valley. Whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. Bitcoin does anonymize if you use a Tumblr, but also, ironically, a Tumblr is illegal to use. CoffeeZilla does that in his videos. A lot of the ways he exposes the scams is going back through the ledger and auditing it. Have you seen they already are doing that with crypto? Bitcoin is coming to your 401k. Jesus Christ. What? By what? Doing like a ETF?
Its lowest level since last July, dangerously dangerously close to 30,000 level. Our Bitcoin baller, Brian Kelly, says the
Dangerously-
cryptocurrency is trading
Hey.
in your lockstep with the NASDAQ. He joins us now to walk through where we go from here. BK, good to see you. Bitcoin's just
Guess it
trading like
blew
a
through
risk
30K.
asset. And that's it.
I mean, well, so there's two things going on. Number one is that it's trading like a risk asset. So if you look at the 30-day rolling correlation of Bitcoin and the NASDAQ 100, it's about 77% right now. That's about the highest we've seen, but almost all year it's been above 70%. So that is number one. You've got that kind of flow. The second thing that's actually going on is there's a stable coin that is ostensibly backed by Bitcoin in some way, and they're trying to defend the peg against the dollar, and they have to sell some Bitcoin to do that. And that's accelerating the sell-off here. So you have both kind of elements coming in, and that's why we're down almost 10% today.
Can one not buy Bitcoin, or should one not buy Bitcoin until the NASDAQ bottoms, basically?
Or until the correlation breaks, yeah. So, I mean, at this point in time, you're going to have to wait for that. So
basically, Bitcoin is just the same as what they're saying here is that when the NASDAQ goes down, the Bitcoins go down. So in other words, it's not a stable store of value. It doesn't have a utility. It's like when Tesla goes down, which is massively overvalued, then Bitcoin goes down. How's Tesla doing, by the way? Tesla's down 440% this year. Oof. Taking a dive back down to 600. Man, so overvalued. Kathy Wood shocks the market after dumping 12.7 million of Tesla stock to snap up some General Motors. I mean, like, if you care about electric cars, Tesla is not going to deliver them. They're going to private at 420, Mike, remember? Yeah. The baseball team, the Washington Nationals, went all in with Terra and ended up bankrupting a portion of their fan base. Wait, what? Crypto 101. You have questions, we have answers. What the fuck?
Crypto 101, presented by Terra. Cryptocurrency is not paper money. Cryptocurrency is native to the internet. Cryptocurrency isn't found in a brick and mortar bank. Cryptocurrency is a digital currency bought, sold, and stored online. Cryptocurrency can't be counterfeited or double spent. Cryptocurrency allows for secure transactions without the need for a middleman. Cryptocurrency can be used to buy goods and services, or can be saved and invested. Crypto 101, presented by Terra.
That's pretty bad timing. Read the comments of that tweet. God damn it, you are embarrassing me. Hope your hitters have better timing. Lizard Rumfeld. That guy really cares about Twitter. He's really putting in the work. Eric Adams got paid in Bitcoin. Eric Adams received his first paycheck of $5,900. Since then, Bitcoin fell 55%, meaning his paycheck is now worth $2,655. However, since he pays taxes on 45% on his original $5,900 paycheck, his first paycheck was a grand total of negative $600. Incredible brains. You love to see it, honestly. You love to see it.
Question of the next phase of Bitcoin will be maybe we see currencies break. Look what's going on with the yen or the RMB. That might be the next catalyst, but until we see that, it is going to keep trading with the NASDAQ.
How do you look at currencies and see the moves and relate it to what's going on with Bitcoin? When you see the yuan go down 1%, and you see the Dixie hit 2-year highs, I mean, how do you sort of take that information and translate that into what's going on with Bitcoin?
Yeah, so, the correlation between the dollar and Bitcoin has been negative. So just like where the NASDAQ, it's positive, it's trading with it. When the dollar goes...
I've seen people defend crypto is only going down because the stock market is going down. I was told it was digital gold. I was told when the bank financial system collapses, Bitcoin was going to blow up. It actually looks like it depends tremendously on the system for it to have any speculative value at all. It seems like a very risky growth stock is the best example, like, Tesla.
Goes up, Bitcoin has been going down. But when I see stuff like the yuan and the RMB move the way that they move, I mean, these are extraordinary moves, things we haven't seen since the 1980s when we had the Plaza Accord. That's currency markets breaking. And so how does that translate into Bitcoin? Bitcoin is an alternative currency, just like gold is. So I think at some point in time, when those currencies break, Bitcoin's actually going to see some positive flow from that.
Hey, BK, it's Karen. Thanks for being on today. What do you think about if the Fed were to become a little more dovish? Would that help Bitcoin and therefore, I guess, the NASDAQ or vice versa?
It would rip higher. Yeah. And that's what everybody is looking for, right? So at 30,000, everybody's trying to buy this dip. Everybody's trying to figure out, is the Fed going to back off the brakes a little bit? My view is they're not going to. But the moment that they do, and maybe that moment is when Bitcoin's at 20,000, I don't know, that's going to be a big buying opportunity for Bitcoin.
Well, give us a glimpse of the Bitcoin Ballers portfolio, Brian. I mean, obviously, your mandate is to be a crypto fund. And so I'm wondering how you sort of navigate this and how you hedge.
Yeah, so I mean, at this point, we're all over the place, but at this point, we're net short on Bitcoin, so we're playing the downside here. We are looking for a place where I want to buy the Bitcoin, but for now, you got to trade the market you got. So I'm going to be net short Bitcoin until things change.
That's the headline. BK, always good to get your take. Thank you, Brian Kelly.
Absolutely.
You hear a Bitcoin baller like BK, net short Bitcoin. What do you think of Coinbase, guy?
Well, we've thought about it for a while. Throw Robinhood in there as well.
I'm curious of the correlation with energy, because since that's a driving factor of mining, that too. I mean, at the increased energy prices, meaning mining Bitcoin is less affordable. This is going to demolish the online poker community, sadly, but it's a net win for humanity, so I'm good with it. I mean, why doesn't Biden legalize online poker? What the fuck is he doing?
Well, but I'll say this, Karen asked the exact right question. If this Fed were to blink for whatever reason, which would be a mistake, that's when Bitcoin goes, and I'll choose to use this word, parabolic. I don't think there's coincidence that Bitcoin's been cut in half since effectively Thanksgiving, the same time the Fed got extraordinarily hawkish.
Yeah, Pete?
Well, I was thinking as you asked some questions of him, as well as what he had added about how the correlation is, Mel, with, I believe he was talking about the NASDAQ, right? Mm-hmm. About a 77% correlation. Well, shoot, I'd never really given that enough thought of that correlation and that being that close, but you want to be able to hedge yourself, seems to me, by having some form of puts to the downside in the triple Qs or something like that. You could at least give yourself some form of a hedge against whatever it is you're holding from the long side. And it's something I hadn't thought about before, so it's really intriguing. This is a whole new world for me going forward with Bitcoin. I like it.
Karen, would you hedge your position with puts on the Qs?
No, I sort of had it in this bucket of, look, this is money put aside, make this bet, taking, multiples off the table and let it ride in great markets and crappy markets. And clearly we're in a really crappy one now.
Yeah, it's your put it in the drawer kind of trade, as BK would say.
Oh boy, man! Since we got quote retweeted by our boy Timmy over last year's Gravel Institute video, let's go ahead and watch it and enjoy it.
In the early 1920s, a businessman in Boston had a realization: everybody wants to get rich without doing any work. So this businessman came up with a brilliant idea to make a lot of money. And like all good financiers, he promised to make those around him really rich too. The businessman told his investors he was buying discounted coupons in foreign countries and making money reselling them in the U.S.
Now, by the way, chat, this was an arbitrage play, which is a totally normal thing that banks do all the time. Basically, what was the thing? What was the discounted coupon? It was an international postage stamp coupon. Basically, you could buy this postage stamp certificate in any of these countries that were part of this agreement, and you could exchange it for a first-class stamp in any other country that was part of the treaty. So, but the price of those coupons was different in different countries. So, like, say a first-class stamp was 50 cents in America, but it's 20 cents in Italy. Well, you go and buy coupons in Italy for 20 cents, and you bring them to America, and you sell. You go to somebody on the street and say, "Hey, you buying stamps? Here, 40 cents for a first-class stamp," or whatever, and people buy those coupons from you, and they go to the post office and they get a 50-cent stamp. So you win by arbitraging that. You bought it for 20 cents, you sell it for 40 cents, 100% margin. Printing money, right? That was the business that the Ponzi scheme was actually at the bottom, which is a totally sensible arbitrage play. The problem with that is there's only so much ability to go buy those certificates from other countries and actually find buyers for them in America. There's like a process that you actually would have to set up and actually do, like marketing those and selling it and actually performing all those functions, the overhead and how much costs. Would that actually make any money? We don't know.
There was a middleman opportunity that he claimed was totally safe and guaranteed a return. The businessman promised his investors a 50% profit in 45 days or 100% in 90 days. What this businessman was doing was paying the people who got in early with the money for the people who got in later. Those later investors, excited by hearing about a guaranteed high return investment, were left holding the bag. That businessman was named Charles Ponzi. His name has become synonymous with these sorts of schemes. His Ponzi scheme made millions of dollars in just a few months. But such a con can only go on for so long. Eventually you run out of other people's money. And for Ponzi, when that happens, you go to jail. 100 years later, a new bunch of wealthy investors say they too have a brilliant way to make
So by the way, the Ponzi scheme, like Ponzi's original idea was a real idea. He just got lazy and never did it. Like he just took the money and was like, all right, well, and gave it to other people and took some for himself. No one said Bitcoin was a high return investment. This guy can't compare Bitcoin to stamps. The only reason people care about Bitcoin is because they know that 10 years ago you could have bought it for a couple cents a coin and now it's worth 30,000. That's what people are interested in. They're interested in Bitcoin going to $1 million. Oh, I could buy Bitcoin now for 15,000 or 30,000, and in 5 years it'll be $1 million. I'll be a millionaire without doing any work. They're not buying Bitcoin so that it stays at 30,000 for 10 more years. They're buying it because they want it to go up. Just like it did in the past. If they had been wise enough to buy 10,000 Bitcoins for $500 when they could have, they'd be a multimillionaire now. They see past returns and they see future results. This is not some sort of complicated genius strategy they've come up with. They say, ooh, Bitcoin has gone up 10,000%. I want it to go up 10,000% again. And if you told them, hey, Bitcoin won't go anywhere for 10 years, it will be flat. Would anybody buy Bitcoin? No. I mean, like, Jesus.
A lot of money. They promise to make you really, really rich. The best part is they say the returns are guaranteed. Anyone can buy.
This is literally how the stock market
money
works too, just most slower. Except the difference between the stock market and Bitcoin is when you buy a stock, you're buying a percentage share of ownership in an actual company. And an actual company has assets. An actual company has book value. An actual company has future growth. There is cash flowing through a company that you gain a share of as a part owner when you buy a stock. When you buy Bitcoin, what do you own? You own a Bitcoin. That entitles you to jack shit. That entitles you to a mark on a ledger somewhere. That's everybody that's being backed up by mining. That's it. There's no company. There's no cash. There's no product. Tell me a better vehicle for large remittances. Here's one, a bank wire. Western Union. If you have enough money, you can get free wires. If I were going to send $10,000, I certainly wouldn't do it through a Bitcoin. If an actual person wants a controlling share, they have to buy your shares likely.
It's called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a digital token with no physical or government backing that's run by a global decentralized network of computers.
So stocks are banked by the physical assets of a company. So when you buy Tesla, you are buying part of Tesla. Now, I think buying Tesla stock, the ratio of income that Tesla gets versus what the company's trading at is fucking batshit crazy, and you'll never ever be able to get that value back at the price where people are paying now. So I don't buy Tesla stock. And right now, the stock market is overinflated, in my opinion. So I have been saving my money scrupulously over the past 2 years during COVID because I'm a pessimist and I always think something terrible is going to happen to me. So I am very much I live a very circumspect lifestyle. You probably noticed that if you notice that I'm not spending money on anything really. It took me years to get a microphone, for fuck's sake. So the idea that I will ever spend money on anything fun, unlikely. It's not that I'm cheap. I will always, help people out, or, if we go out to dinner, I'll pay for the dinner. But I am very, very conservative. Do you think any decentralized currency is impossible? No, I don't think it's impossible. I just think Bitcoin is probably the worst example of it.
These computers keep track of every Bitcoin transaction and can move Bitcoins easily from one user to another. There are a limited number of Bitcoins in the world, 21 million. 19 million of which have already been mined.
7B.
These mining rigs are large systems of computers which perform complex calculations, expending huge amounts of energy to create new Bitcoins. Massive Bitcoin mining farms are set up in places like Siberia and northeastern China, where people take advantage
Not
of
anymore. China banned those guys.
Cheap electricity in massive, wasteful facilities. But how Bitcoin works doesn't really matter that much. All of the stuff you hear about peer-to-peer technology and the blockchain really only explains how Bitcoin works as a currency. But despite the name, Bitcoin isn't really used much as a currency at all. When people buy Bitcoin, they rarely use it to buy goods and services. They're really buying access to a Ponzi scheme. Only 1.3% of Bitcoin's economic activity is in merchant transactions. The rest is speculation, people buying it just because they think it will go up. And the more it's used in speculation, the less incentive people have to actually use it as a currency. Why buy something with Bitcoin when you can hold it and make some easy money? That's why the peak of Bitcoin being used to buy things was actually back in 2017, before its price really took off. And a currency should be stable in value, not bounce all over the place the way Bitcoin does. Rises are nice, but Bitcoin also falls a lot. If you want to speculate, that's fine, that's your own business. But you don't want the value of your checking account to gyrate wildly and unpredictably just because Elon Musk has tweeted about it. If you have friends or relatives who are into cryptocurrency, you know that the reason that people are into Bitcoin is because they think it can make them a lot of money. Because Bitcoin is just a digital token without any inherent value, they're not really making an investment. They're engaging in a financial betting game. Anything you invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Dogecoin just goes into the pocket of the previous.
Now, this is different than buying shares in a company because a company has a business. And if the company's business does well, they could buy back stock, they could pay dividends, they could do a variety of things that increase fundamentally that share of the company you own. That's the difference between Bitcoin. Or if you buy fucking gold, you have gold. You can turn it into jewelry. You have a fucking thing. Bitcoin never, there is no such thing. Nothing there but a ledger.
Holder. There's no real income generating.
And the difference between the dollar and Bitcoin is the dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States federal government. What does that mean? It means the federal marshals. It means the U.S. Army. It means the U.S. Navy. It means the IRS. It means a multi-trillion-dollar bureaucracy. It means the 330 million people subject to that federal government's taxation. It's the $100 trillion worth of wealth in the country. So when you have the US dollar, there's something behind it. And the fact that you've got to pay taxes in US dollars. You want to pay your taxes to the federal government? You got to do it in dollars, which means you need to buy some. That's the difference between Bitcoin and dollars.
Asset behind it. What they're betting on is that other people will bet on it and the value will keep going up. If
somebody said no. No what? Shenstra, no.
People are joining the market. You can make money.
You mean
you're
stock
not a sucker
prices are mostly
if the person...
hot air? No, you're right. But I'm just saying that there is a book value. At the end of the day, there is a book value. Companies have some amount of value.
Next in line is a sucker too. And as long as you can make it out on time, the next guy is left holding the bag. The good news for these gamblers is that there are a lot of suckers in the world. The bad news is that eventually you run out of suckers. So to keep the scam running as long as they can, the wealthy proponents of Bitcoin say that it's changing the world. They say that Bitcoin is going to replace fiat currencies like the dollar. They say that it's going to undermine cruel dictatorships and greedy banks and help usher in a libertarian utopia of privacy and security. And most importantly, they say what every scam artist has said since the beginning of time.
How do I buy dollars if I don't have dollars? Well, then you would take something of value that somebody has who has dollars wants, and you would trade it to them for that. So let's say, for example, that you lived in Yukon, you lived in the Great Yukon, and you mined gold out of a prospecting thing you owned. A fucking lease to some land in the middle of Alaska, you had to mine some gold. Well, guess what, motherfucker? That gold has a market value. You just got an accession to wealth when you severed that gold from the land. You now have a taxable event. You owe a percentage of that gold in taxes. So you've got to take that gold to fucking town, and you've got to exchange some of that gold for United States dollars to pay your taxes. If you don't, IRS and revenue agents will come find your ass, and they'll take your shit. That's how it fundamentally at the end of the day works. Like, you wouldn't say data analysis and matrices are a scam, but some businesses plans use data analysis to fund their Ponzi scheme. Okay. Most of the gold miners died due to arsenic trioxide dust here in Canada. Gold industry was a death knell. Yeah, it's not good for you.
Get in right now and you'll make quick and easy money. Don't miss out on this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And for the last few years, they've actually been right. If you'd spent $100 on buying shares of Apple in January 2016, you'd have about $540 now. If you spent that $100 on Bitcoin, then you'd have made more than $9,000. But that doesn't mean that Bitcoin is working. It means that a lot of people have fallen for the scam. And the more people who buy it, the more the price fluctuates, and the less usable it is as a currency. The success of Bitcoin as a speculative commodity has made it socially useless. You'd actually have made just as much money buying a parody cryptocurrency called Dogecoin that makes none of the grandiose claims that Bitcoin does. In fact, it explicitly started as a joke. Meanwhile, as more and more people speculate on Bitcoin, it consumes more and more electricity and emits more and more carbon. Because of how complex Bitcoin transactions are, they consume an incredible amount of power. One Bitcoin transaction consumes more electricity than the average American household does in a month. Bitcoin as a whole consumes more electricity than entire countries: Venezuela, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, and the Philippines.
Wow.
If Bitcoin ever were to be widely adopted, it would consume many times more energy than is produced in the world today. Bitcoin isn't useful at all, except maybe as a symbol of how capitalism has changed. From something that could once build factories and transcontinental railroads to a system of pure speculation, totally divorced from the real world. Look at this system. Millions of computers emitting huge amounts of carbon, making pointless calculations in order to gain access to a digital token with no actual use, all while the infrastructure crumbles and people go hungry. This is a terrible way to organize a society. But because Bitcoin is a Ponzi scheme without any benefit to society, does not mean it's going away. Bitcoin has become a culture, an identity. Amid the vast meaninglessness of a society in decline, a lot of people find value in it. In a world where traditional forms of identity are in decline, family, unions, religion, new ones like cryptocurrencies spring up to take their place. The fact that so many lonely, atomized people find community and meaning in Bitcoin means that for the people at the very top, people with millions or even billions of dollars, there's a ready and willing community of suckers to exploit. You can still make money off cryptocurrencies. In an age of low wages and mass underemployment, people will always be lured by the promise of getting rich quick. But there will always be somebody left holding the bag. And it could very well be you. In essence, Bitcoin is a gamble. Gambling can be fun at low stakes with friends, but the people trying to sell you Bitcoin aren't your friends. No matter what you tell yourself, you're just gambling. Not that an asset has value, but that the person next in line is more gullible than you. This is Doug Henwood, author of Wall Street, for the Gravel Institute.
Now this is a video that will trigger people. Holy shit. Him reading from a script that Warren Buffett wrote is cringe. This is not educational and says false statements. Dude, Ethereum and Bitcoin are different protocols. Bitcoin still uses proof of work and not proof of stake, which means it requires a tremendous amount of energy. You know, it's fine. It's fine it's fine to be mad about it, but it's okay. It's okay, but that's the truth. If you like, you know, and by the way, people, listen, I've known about Bitcoin since the very beginning. When I first heard about Bitcoin, I was like, oh yeah, this is totally going to take off. And like many of you, I had literally $0 to my name at that point. Literally zero. I was dead broke. I had only bought a pizza's worth of Bitcoin. Do you think large share are in ASIC miners? I think, well, I mean, one of the worst parts about Bitcoin is there's a large share of like the original mined coins that are just sitting there that could be dropped at any moment. That guy who paid for a pizza with like 50K in Bitcoin, more than that, it's like millions. I always tell people, I remember when you could mine Bitcoin with your literal computer's graphics card. Like if you had a gaming PC at all, you could mine like thousands of Bitcoin. Hey, Mike, have you talked about crypto romance scams? aka the Shuzai Pan? It's disgusting and fascinating. No. Back in 2018, I did a tons of crypto research and ended up buying 2 8-card GPU miners for mining Ethereum. Did you do it? I mined 5 Bitcoin in 2010, 2011. They got eaten by an online wallet after I forgot about them for years. Well, hey, if I had 10 Bitcoin sitting somewhere, I'd be trying to figure out how to get them. Dude, if I just lost all my savings overnight, I would also come into your chat to yell at you. I mean, you know. For me, it's the guy who threw away his original mining rig with maybe 100 Bitcoin in it. He ended up buying an entire parcel of landfill just to look for the PC. Oof. I mean, oof. I mean, if I were that guy, I'd be obsessed with it too. I mean, what do you want me to say? If I was that guy, I'd be obsessed with that, finding my 100 Bitcoin too. What can you do? I mean, that's the difference between your life basically going, I mean, like, what do you want? I mean, even with it losing 50%, still worth a lot. Thoughts on tech sanctions? I think Russia is going to prove to be far more resilient than people think. That's what I think. Currency is a scam to me. I'm all for abolishing currency, but to say Bitcoin as a concept is a scam is ridiculous. I don't think that Bitcoin as a concept is a scam, but as you saw in the video, 99% of Bitcoin transactions are speculative in nature, which means that its actual intrinsic value for use as an alternative currency is a tiny fraction of what it's at now. You have an obligation to like, comment, and subscribe.